Hi guys, I'm Ingrid from Barlow Roots. It is January, which is the slow season for us. It's a little bit quieter. The garden is done. And so it is often actually the time when we do a lot of canning. And in the falls, the freezers are bursting and we're having to plug in more freezers in order to create room. And so now is when I'm starting to work through all those freezers. So I thought I'd show you what I'm up to. I took out 5 of the chickens that we raised and let them thaw in the fridge, and now I'm piecing them. And in this bowl you see the backbones and the feet and the heads, and this will all go into a pressure canning stock pot, and I'll pressure cook it and kind of make a really good bone broth, and then I can either freeze that bone broth or I can can that after that. So that's kind of all the leftovers. When I can chicken, I have to use the pressure canner because it's a low acid food, and in pressure canning with chicken I don't want the skins on, so I'm taking all the skins off and that's going into this pot, and there's just good collagen and stuff in that skin too. So that big bowl is just kind of my refuse bowl. So there's nothing pretty about prepping a chicken. I'm just trying to pull off the skin. I might have to cut it off. Got it. So that goes in my refuse. And then I was hemming and hawing. Do I make meals in jars or do I just can the chicken? And I think I've decided I'm just going to can the chicken. And I can actually can it just like this. And so if you're new to canning, I have my hot, freshly washed jars here. There's wide mouth or small mouth. I would just, if you're new to it and you're buying jars for the first time, or if you're just buying more jars, I'd go wide mouth the whole way. So these are actually going to go in, and I'm just going to fit as many as I can in there. I think I'll get about 4 to 6, and those will can that way, pressure can. I have taken off of all the carcasses. I did take off all the little wings and, what are these called, drumettes. And I'm just going to put these in the fridge and we'll eat those for a meal tomorrow. Another jar is going to have in my thighs, and I'm leaving the bone in, and so they will just get packed. This is called raw packing. I took the skins off. They'll be raw packed into jars, and those will be canned up, and these will just make really fast when I don't have time to thaw meat. We're coming home from something and I need a meal, super fast and easy just to crack open a jar and to have meat. Here are all the breasts, so I'm going to cube these. Something that I didn't always know about chicken breasts is on the underside there's this little tender, and it often kind of falls off, but that's like the choice meat of the chicken breasts. And so I always separate those, and I'll cube those just like I will the rest of the meal, the rest of the chicken, but it just kind of makes it easier to cut if I just remove that, because it's just kind of loose on there. So that's called the chicken, the tender. And here is one more leg and thigh that I have to separate. So what I've been finding is easiest is to start pulling the skin off. If I have more to grip, I'm doing it with my left hand. There we go. Then I think it was like Jacques Pepin? He taught me that when you're separating pieces in chicken, you're always looking for that fat line. And that's kind of where you know to cut your knife. And so I always kind of start it, and then I give it a crack, and the knuckle kind of separates. And that's where I know kind of where to run my knife. So there's another chicken leg, another thigh, and then I'll cube up all these breasts and I'll make some jars, and I'm just going to see how many jars I get, and then I'll go into the pressure canner. Alright, I've got my jars filled. 7 quart jars fill my pressure canner, and so I only got 4 jars. We did eat off of those 5 chickens for a couple meals. So I got 4 jars of chicken. 2 of them are the pieced breasts, Got my canner, just, it's warming up, but it's not quite boiling yet. 1 jar of thighs, and then 1 jar of legs. And with canning chicken, the only thing in here is water, and you don't even have to add water to the jar, but it is kind of nice. It makes a nice chicken broth. If you did it without water, it would still make its own juice, but there just wouldn't be as much, and it might not fully cover the chicken, which is not a bad thing, but then your chicken might look a little funky. And so because I only got 4 jars of chicken, I looked, and I have tons of dried beans downstairs, but it's always nice to have already cooked beans, and the pressure in the canning time is the same for beans as it is for chicken. So I went ahead and just made 3 jars of beans. These are navy beans, and in these is 1.5 cups of dried beans that have been rinsed, and then you add hot water, and that's it. So those are super easy too. And something I didn't know, but dried beans do go old, they go bad. If you've ever had dried beans that are really crunchy, like they're not soft, it's because they're old beans. That's something I just learned too. So sometimes it is good just to can your beans to get them off the shelf, and then they have a shelf life in the jar. So that's it for my pressure canner. I'm going to put the lid on, and then I'll vent this for 10 minutes. I'll put my weight on, and then they'll go for 1.5 hours. See you afterwards. It's been 1.5 hours, and supper has happened, and I'm ready to be done canning. But pulling them out now, and I always laugh when I pull things out of the pressure canner because it's not the most beautiful, and that is most likely why all of our pressure canned goods in the grocery store have labels. So you can't really see what's inside of them. I know I didn't exactly tell you how to pressure can, but this is the book that I have been using, and I know she has another book out, Food in Jars for pressure canning. She's active on Instagram, so you can check her out. She's a good resource. And I'll let these cool overnight. I won't touch them. They'll just sit here, and then in the maybe tomorrow afternoon I will write labels on them and then take them downstairs. So you can tell they are very, very hot. And it always feels good. Pressure canning is not hard, but it is a little bit of time consuming. You just need to be home while you're doing it because it takes a little bit of time. Try pressure canning if you've always been curious. It's just something you just gotta go for and do. So, thanks for watching. Have a great one.